Welcome to the deep dive. If you run a local business right now, your survival instinct is probably, screaming at you to just slash your marketing budget.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because you look at the macroeconomic data for early 2026 and it's brutally clear. Inflation has finally cooled down, but the high prices, they stubbornly stayed behind.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal squeeze. I mean, the cost of doing business has permanently leveled up, but consumer wallets just haven't.
Exactly. And if you are listening to this, let's say you're a realtor down in San Pedro, or maybe a partner at a law firm in Torrance, your margin for error has basically evaporated. Zero margin.
None at all.
You look at your P&L and you think, I've got to hunker down, cut all the extra expenses, and just, try to survive this.
Which is, to be fair, the totally natural reaction. But historically speaking, going quiet during a squeeze is almost always the quickest way to guarantee your business doesn't survive to see the recovery.
Right. And that is exactly what our stack of sources for today is pointing toward. We are looking at a highly counterintuitive survival strategy here.
We really are.
We've got YouTube transcripts, internal business documents, and some strategic briefs from VoxelMicroVideoLabs. And our mission today is to figure out why the smartest move right now isn't to retreat, but to actually lean heavily into this highly efficient Microlab model.
And we need to frame this properly right from the jump. We aren't just talking about the logistics of renting a room with some nice lights.
No, not at all.
We are looking at a fundamental tectonic shift in the entire creator economy. I mean, we have entered an era where the internet is suddenly flooded with what industry insiders are calling AI slop.
Oh, AI slop, yeah.
Right. And because of that, authentic human consciousness has almost overnight become a premium luxury good.
Okay, let's unpack this because that is a massive claim. Before we get into the physical technology of these microlabs or, what they cost, we have to understand the environment you as a business owner are operating in.
Right, the landscape.
Yeah, we have to talk about the absolute death of audio-first media.
It's a structural shift that's frankly really hard for a lot of legacy creators to accept. I mean, for a decade, a podcast was just two people talking into microphones and the audience was listening in their cars or on the train.
Just audio, yeah.
But the data from the 2026 media reports shows that era is effectively over. The staggering statistic we found in the briefs is that 84% of Gen Z now engage with podcasts that have video components.
Stop right there. Let me just play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
If I am that estate planning attorney in Torrance we just talked about, my clients are retiring boomers and Gen X. I do not care what Gen Z is watching on TikTok. Why should I care about this demographic stat? Like, how does this actually affect my bottom line?
Because you aren't just fighting a demographic. You are fighting the platform's underlying infrastructure. The discovery algorithms on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, they don't segregate their core architecture by age.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Those algorithms have one universal mandate, and that's to maximize retention. They want to keep every single user, whether they're 18 or 68, on the app for as long as possible.
And video retains better than audio.
Significantly better. A native 9:16 vertical video simply retains attention vastly better than, say, a static image of a logo playing audio.
Oh, of course.
Furthermore, vertical video completely removes the physical friction of a user having to turn their phone sideways.
Oh, that's so true. You just hold it normally.
Exactly. It fills the entire screen, it stops the doom scroll, and it feels intimately like a FaceTime call. So even if your target client is a 60-year-old looking for estate planning, the algorithm is going to feed them the lawyer who has vertical video. If you are audio only in 2026, the algorithm essentially renders you invisible to everyone.
You are just shouting into a very well-produced void.
Precisely.
And this brings up a massive friction point for our local professionals, the need for speed. Traditional video production completely falls apart when you look at how fast culture moves now.
Oh, it's too slow.
Way too slow. We are operating in an environment with a 48-hour shelf life. If the Fed drops interest rates on a Tuesday morning, and you're that San Pedro realtor trying to explain what that means for mortgages in the South Bay, you can't film it, send it to a freelance editor, and wait 2 weeks for the final cut.
No, you can't.
By Wednesday afternoon, the internet has completely moved on. The trend is totally dead. The promise of the Microlab model we are looking at is delivering Hollywood quality at South Bay speed.
And that speed is achieved through a workflow mechanism referred to in the Voxel documents as time collapse.
Time collapse.
Yeah, this is really the true engine of the Microlab model. Let's walk through how this actually works for a busy professional. Say you are a financial advisor, you don't have time to set up lights or test microphones.
Literally not.
You just walk into the studio, the cameras are already perfectly dialed in. You sit down and record a 45-minute deep dive on the new tax implications for 2026. That 45-minute recording is your core asset.
Right. But sitting and talking for 45 minutes is just generating the raw material.
Yeah.
That doesn't solve the social media problem.
Exactly. The magic is what happens next. That single hour of your time in the studio is instantly sliced up by their system. It gets turned into 3 YouTube shorts, 4 Instagram reels, 2 LinkedIn clips, and the full-length Cornerstone episode.
It is literally the digital equivalent of culinary meal prepping.
That's a great way to put it.
Think about it. You spend one highly focused hour on a Sunday, chopping vegetables, grilling chicken, putting it in little containers, and you have successfully fed yourself for the week. In this case, you spend 1 hour in a studio and you've successfully fed your audience's algorithm every single day for the next 2 weeks.
It's incredibly efficient.
For you listening right now, this directly solves the number one objection we always hear from local business owners, which is, I have a business to run. I didn't have time to be a full-time YouTuber.
You don't have to be. You get the output of a full-time creator with the minimal input of a busy professional.
But let's get down to brass tacks here. Time efficiency is fantastic. But if you are a local business watching your budget in a squeezed economy, the math actually has to make sense.
Right, the bottom line.
Let's look at the actual dollars and cents of producing that 50-minute Cornerstone sales asset. The sources break down 3 distinct paths a business owner can take right now. Let's do the math live.
Okay, so path 1 is the Microlab. Voxel operates on a time-in-the-room flat rate. You aren't paying for a massive camera crew or a producer. You are paying for access to automated infrastructure.
Okay.
Their 50-square-foot Velocity starter pod runs just $30 for a 50-minute session.
$30.
Just $30. And if you want to scale up to their cinematic 400-square-foot global leader suite, maybe you want to host a multi-person panel or something, it's just $140. You walk in, you record, you walk out with the files.
So $30 to $140 for broadcast quality. That is wild when you compare it to the second path, which is the traditional legacy studio.
Yeah, the traditional studio is what we should really call the overhead beast.
The overhead beast.
You might go online and see a room rental rate of $100 to $150 an hour for a local studio, which seems comparable at first glance, but it's a trap.
Why is it a trap?
Because in a legacy studio, you are shooting raw files that require massive post-production. You have to pay an editor $75 to $150 an hour to sync the audio, color grade the footage, cut out the mistakes.
Ouch.
Yeah. A 50-minute episode routinely requires 10 hours of post-production. So that single episode actually ends up costing you anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000.
Which just completely destroys your margins.
Yeah.
So by shifting to a live-to-tape Microlab where the switching and grading happens in real time, you're effectively hacking the system for an 80% cost reduction.
Exactly. It's an 80% cut.
But wait. Here is where I really have to push back on these strategic briefs. Because there is a third path. And it is the one absolutely everyone is talking about right now.
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
If I'm a founder trying to protect my margins, I look at the fact that I pay a flat $20 a month for an AI chatbot. So shouldn't generating a 50-minute hyper-realistic avatar video of myself using tools like Sora or VO3 be practically free? Like, why would I even get in my car, drive to a physical studio, and pay the $30?
That is the most common and, frankly, the most dangerous misconception in the market right now. You have to differentiate between cheap, glitchy AI and high-end cinematic AI.
Okay, what's the difference?
If you want to be taken seriously as a lawyer or a wealth manager, you need cinematic AI where you can actually see the pores on the avatar's skin. You need perfect lip sync. That level of generation is absolutely not a flat monthly fee. It is entirely consumption-based.
Because of the processing power.
Exactly. It requires massive server power. And right now, that costs roughly $30 per minute of compute.
Okay, hold on. Let me just do the math on that. At $30 a minute for a 50-minute Cornerstone video.
You are looking at $1,500 just in compute costs.
$1,500. And that is assuming the AI generates perfectly on the very first try.
Which it never does. Generating AI video is like playing a slot machine. The diffusion models and rendering engines still struggle with microexpressions.
Right.
You write a prompt, the video generates, but maybe the avatar's hands look mangled, or the voice inflection sounds completely robotic on a crucial sentence. To fix it, you have to re-roll the generation.
And every roll costs money.
Every single revision burns more compute credits. By the time you successfully generate a polished 50-minute video without glitches, your costs have completely ballooned. AI essentially penalizes length. The longer your video, the more you pay.
Whereas the physical Microlab model rewards length.
Right.
Once you've paid the flat $30 for the room, that 49th minute of talking costs you absolutely nothing in compute.
Yeah.
That completely flips the script on the whole AI is free narrative.
It really does. And what's fascinating here is that the smartest ROI play in these documents isn't choosing human or AI. It's a strategy called human then AI.
How does that work?
Well, you spend the $30 for the human studio to create your core long-form asset. You capture the real you. Then you leverage AI for its actual superpower, which is an original generation, but localization.
Oh, like translation.
Yes, you take that authentic human-made video and use AI software to instantly dub and lip-sync it into 150 different languages. The data in these briefs shows companies doing this are driving 1.5 times revenue growth. You use the human element to build the deep trust, and then you use the AI element to scale that trust globally for pennies.
Okay, that makes perfect sense from a workflow and a cost basis. The physical Microlab wins in a landslide for long-form content, but having an affordable video is utterly useless if nobody actually trusts the person on the screen.
Oh, totally.
The sources make a massive deal about this. Even if the video only cost you $30, if the viewer thinks you look untrustworthy, you've still wasted your money. So why does the physical human element matter so fundamentally for closing deals in 2026?
It comes back to what we mentioned at the start, the incoming tsunami of AI slop. We are drowning in low-quality, mass-produced synthetic media. Now, we have to be fair here. AI is the absolute king of information density.
Right.
If I just want to know the weather forecast or a stock price or the capital of a country, AI is perfect. I don't need an emotional connection to get a fact.
Right, the stakes are zero.
Exactly. But high-stakes business, hiring a lawyer to restructure your company or handing a realtor the keys to sell your family home requires deep interpersonal trust, and AI falls right into the uncanny valley.
Can you explain the mechanism of the uncanny valley for anyone who hasn't heard that term? Like, why does our brain reject it?
The uncanny valley is a psychological concept where a human replica looks almost perfect but not quite, and it triggers a feeling of unease or revulsion in the observer.
Like a creepy mannequin.
Exactly. Evolutionarily, our brains are hardwired to detect tiny anomalies in human faces to identify sickness or threats. So when we look at an AI avatar, even a really good one, our subconscious catches the fact that the micromuscle movements around the eyes are missing, or the breathing pattern doesn't match the speech. The brain screams, something is wrong here, and trust instantly evaporates.
That is such a vital point. The sources make this highly philosophical yet completely practical argument. Human consciousness is now a luxury good.
It really is.
Think about it. When you're speaking on camera and you momentarily stumble over a word, or you pause, look away, and genuinely struggle to think of the right answer to a complex question, that imperfection is a feature, not a bug. It signals to the viewer's subconscious that a real, authentic, vulnerable mind is present.
And that authenticity is heavily reinforced by another psychological mechanism called the halo effect.
Which is what exactly?
The halo effect is a cognitive bias where our brain takes one positive attribute of a person and automatically applies it to everything else about them. Our brains are fundamentally lazy, energy-saving machines. They want shortcuts. So we subconsciously judge a professional's competence based on the visual quality of their presentation.
Give me a real-world example of how that hurts a business.
Well, if you are a high-powered attorney, but you film your legal advice on a grainy laptop webcam from a messy spare bedroom, or worse, in a cold, sterile room with horrible fluorescent lighting that makes it look like a hostage video.
Oh, I've seen so many of those.
Right. The viewer's brain instantly takes a shortcut. It says, this video looks sloppy and careless, therefore this person's legal work must be sloppy and careless.
Even if they went to Harvard Law.
Even if they went to Harvard Law. Voxel's entire setup, the cinematic depth of field, the curated, warm lighting, is designed to artificially trigger that halo effect. When the brain sees premium lighting, it assumes premium expertise. It builds what psychologists call parasocial bonds.
A one-sided relationship.
Exactly. It's a one-sided sense of intimacy and trust, making the viewer feel a premium connection with you before you've even made your pitch.
It's the signaling problem. I always think about the signaling problem of using an AI avatar for a high-stakes sales pitch. Think about what it says to the client. It is literally the equivalent of sending a plastic mannequin to a local networking event, propping it up at a table and saying, "Here, talk to my mannequin."
That's a perfect analogy.
It tells the potential client that you didn't even care enough about their business to show up yourself.
Exactly. You are creating emotional distance right at the exact moment you need to be creating intimacy.
Okay, but here's the pivot. Having a perfectly authentic video of your face, beautifully lit, is utterly useless if the algorithm's text parser can't figure out what you're actually saying. You can't just win the human heart. You have to win the machine's attention first so the human actually sees the video. How do we get this in front of them?
This is where we see a major shift, specifically highlighted in the law firm marketing sources we reviewed. Traditional text SEO search engine optimization is dying.
Really? Dying?
Yeah. Clients are no longer typing simple keywords into Google and reading 2,000-word blog posts on tort law. We are moving entirely to AEO, answer engine optimization.
Right. Clients aren't searching anymore. They are asking. They are going to AI engines like ChatGPT or Perplexity and demanding explain California estate tax laws like I'm 5. Or who is the most authoritative DUI defense attorney in Southern California?
And the AI engine constructs an answer based on who it determines is the ultimate authority. And this leads us to a highly specific, bizarre term in the Voxel architecture briefs. Their emphasis on dry acoustics.
When I first read that, it sounded like pure audio engineer jargon. Dry acoustics. Like, what does that even mean for the San Pedro realtor? But it is actually critical infrastructure for the AI age.
It absolutely is. Let's unpack the mechanism of why dry acoustics factor into AEO.
Imagine handing a transcriber a muddy, water-damaged handwritten letter. The transcriber squints at the smeared ink, panics, and just starts guessing what the words are, right? That is exactly what an AI engine does with echoey, wet audio. If you record a video in your kitchen or an empty office with hard walls, your voice bounces around and creates an echo. The AI transcription models that feed these search engines completely hallucinate on that wet audio.
Oh, they fail completely.
They misinterpret complex industry terms, the transcript becomes a garbled mess, and the AI engine literally cannot categorize your expertise.
And if it can't categorize your expertise, you do not rank in the AEO results.
Yeah.
But dry acoustics rooms, physically treated with specialized dampening materials to absorb all that echo, yield pristine, perfect audio data.
It's like handing the transcriber a perfectly typed, crisp document.
Precisely. And that pristine data allows the AI search engines to accurately see your expertise. Perfect instant transcripts turn your visual video footprint into a highly searchable text footprint.
Yeah.
And there's another crucial layer to this physical infrastructure, especially for legal or medical professionals. These sound-treated microlabs act almost like forensic labs for your data.
Oh, this is the part about the 7-day data wipes, right? Why is that so important?
Because typical cheap AI marketing tools or shared co-working spaces are a massive liability. If you use an open market AI tool to edit or transcribe a video where you are discussing sensitive client case studies, those platforms often automatically ingest your user data to train their open source models.
Meaning they are feeding your private client information to the public machine.
Exactly. For a lawyer, that would instantly risk a third-party waiver of attorney-client privilege. It's a massive ethical and legal breach.
Wow.
Yeah. Voxel mitigates this by functioning as a closed loop. They enforce strict NDAs and perform mandatory 7-day data wipes of their servers, physically destroying the raw files once you have them. Your typical marketing agency simply doesn't have the infrastructure to guarantee that level of data protection.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what we're really looking at is the concept of designing physical, real-world space specifically for digital algorithmic optimization. You are building authority by giving the machines exactly the clean, protected data they want, while simultaneously giving the human viewer exactly the authentic, perfectly lit connection they crave.
That is the dual mandate of the 2026 economy.
So what does this all mean? Let's synthesize this journey for you, the listener. If you are a local professional trying to navigate the squeezed economy with zero margin for error, the Microlab model offers a highly strategic way out. It bypasses the traditional overhead beast, cutting your production costs by 80%.
Yep.
It uses the time collapse engine to feed the vertical video algorithm without monopolizing your calendar, giving you your schedule back to actually run your business. It utilizes dry acoustics to ensure you dominate the new wave of AI answer engines. And most importantly, it bypasses the uncanny valley by leveraging the ultimate modern luxury good, your authentic, unfiltered, perfectly imperfect human face.
It's a brilliant survival strategy for right now, but it does raise an important question. A deeper, lingering puzzle that isn't fully resolved in these strategy documents, but one that every single business owner is going to have to face eventually. We know that the compute cost of AI generation will inevitably drop. And we know that eventually the rendering technology will cross the uncanny valley. Someday, an AI avatar will be able to perfectly mimic human chemistry. The microexpressions, the pauses, the slight imperfections, the total emotional resonance.
A perfect replica.
Exactly. When that day comes and perfect artificial authenticity costs $0, does the transaction lose its value?
Oh, that's a wild thought.
When everyone can simulate a perfectly authentic human connection, do we ultimately buy the product or do we still buy the person? Is this premium on authenticity just a temporary economic moat that is destined to dry up?
That is a fascinating and honestly slightly terrifying thought to chew on. Is authenticity just a phase? Something for you to deeply mull over before you step in front of the camera yourself. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.